morning. I hope everybody had a good weekend. For those of you that were able to get back out to hairdressers, pubs and restaurants, I hope that you enjoyed your first weekend a step closer to normality. So on Friday, we got sight of the long-awaited list of countries that we are able to travel to and not quarantine back on arrival into the UK. Perhaps not the list that we were expecting. We at one point thought that these would be reciprocal air corridors, and then secondly thought that they might be categorised into green, amber and red destinations. A lot of confusion around the list and what it means. It certainly doesn't mean that we are able to send customers off to all of the destinations on the list and they are able to travel back with no issues whatsoever. So we are working through some more advice that we are hopefully planning on sharing with you tomorrow that will help you to seek some clarity around what that list means and feel more comfortable with what you can recommend. So from one piece of confusion to another, today we welcome back Martin from Mayo Wynne Baxter, who will be going through the differences in the furlough scheme that exist from the 1st of July. So we do now see the introduction of flexible furloughing. So over to you, Martin, and thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Martin Williams and I'm a partner at Mayo Wynne Baxter, specialising in employment law. I want to talk to you about the changes in the coronavirus job retention scheme as of the 1st of July. As a result of the changes, the number of documents that make up the guidance has increased. The couple of the new documents are simply retitling and rewriting of other documents, but there's also increased work examples to which the documents refer. The first is a single case example, which is nice and simple, and the second looks at various other scenarios which are more complex. The new format of documents was released on the 12th of June, but they were all updated again at the beginning of July. On the afternoon of 26th of June, the government issued a further Treasury direction setting out rules that will apply to the coronavirus retention scheme. The Treasury direction is the nearest we have to legislation, but it must be remembered that neither this nor the guidance is actual legislation, but merely rules for how the furlough scheme will operate. Regardless, they are powerful rules and HMRC will expect compliance. So far as legislation is concerned, it is expected that the forthcoming finance bill will impose penalties on those employers that deliberately make incorrect claims and those who deliberately do not use the money received from the grants to pay the wages of furloughed staff. The key change from 1st of July has been the introduction of flexible furloughing, allowing employees to work some of the time and with furlough periods not being subject to the previous 3-week minimum. Only those staff that have been legitimately furloughed before can be flexibly furloughed, unless they're just returning from statutory family leave or are military reservists. The number of employees an employer can claim for in any claim period starting from the 1st of July cannot exceed the maximum number of employees an employee claimed for under any claim ending by the 30th of June. Where there has been some sort of rotation, this may cause some problems for some employers. It is up to the employer to decide the proportions of work, but they will need to reach a new agreement with employees. That agreement must be made or confirmed in writing in advance of the new work arrangements coming into operation. And while the Treasury direction says that such an agreement must be kept until at least the 30th of June 2025, it is recommended to keep such records for at least 6 years in line with guidance elsewhere. When making a claim, do note that you cannot do so for overlapping months, though it will still be possible to make a claim for June until the end of July. When it comes to the mechanics of working out the claims from July 1st onwards, reference will have to be made to the worked examples, as there are a variety of issues to address, and the figures will change in each subsequent month as the limit on what can be claimed is reduced. Employers can still make claims in advance, but no more than 14 days before the end of a claim period. Having said that, the flexible element that is being introduced does mean that you have to be sure that you calculate the number of hours being worked. Incorrect claims will require some of the grant to be repaid. While there is no minimum period, any claim submitted to the portal must cover a minimum period of 7 days. Also, Where an employee started a new furlough period before 1st of July, this furlough period must be for a minimum of 3 consecutive weeks. Only after that can they switch to flexible furlough arrangements. While flexibility is wonderful in theory, it does make calculations more complicated, especially where the normal hours of work vary from employee to employee, 25, 30, 35, 40 hours per week. Assessments will have to be made on what sort of part-time work is available, and the maths that result will have to be checked very thoroughly. Employers will have to keep accurate records of the hours worked and not worked. While the scheme is flexible, it must be remembered that when a claim is being made for furloughed hours, that means the employee must carry out no work at all for their employer. The guidance now specifically states that employees should not be placed on furlough simply because they are on holiday for that period. However, holiday can be taken while on furlough. Mistakes may be made in submitting a claim, and the guidance is now being issued to say that a claim can be deleted within 72 hours of it being made, presumably for a more correct submission to be made. There is also guidance on what to do if you have claimed too much and do not intend to make another claim. As you can tell, this is only a brief summary of complicated rules. If you need more detail, read the guidance and the Treasury direction, or otherwise feel free to make contact. Thank you.